Alright, that's another tutorial and I will show you how I've done animal tracing in my game that I'm currently working. So what I have in my game is I have a number of tools, so I can have the magnifying glass, and also I can enable that here. So you can see here I have magnifying glass in here, or what I can do is I can also buy the flashlight. Anyway, at the moment what I have is I can select one of these tools, and that will help me track the animals. So let's enable this, and in the mode when I'm searching for animals, so I can disable that for now. And you see there are ants in there, and I can see in the left hand corner animals is closed, so I can see and search for the animals here. If you see animals is close like that means we hit a kind of collision with that animal. And what I can do is I can do E and discover that animal. So if I will go close enough, we've heard that sound in there, that means we have that discovered. So if I will click Q and I say click on this one, I have that animal found in there. So I track basically animals that I found in my. So this is early version of the game, so don't really worry about it, full bugs and everything. But I want to tell you about how I achieved that. So we have an actor that is doing that thing here. So you can see here we have that ants, and I can actually detect if I'm looking at something. So how do you do that in Unreal Engine? So basically I will stop that here. Let's go to animal. So this is generic animal. We have in the game a few animals that will inherit from there, but each animal will have two spheres. One collision sphere will be for found, and I will talk about it in a second, and one for nearby. So whenever I go here into nearby, that's another collision sphere here, I will see that information in the box, animal is close. But what I'm really interested in this video is the found one. So I have much smaller one. That means you need to come close and actually do something with that found. That sphere is collision. Whenever I overlap it, I just display that on the screen. But this one, I want to only have it enabled when I have my tool enabled. So if I will have magnifying glass enabled and I'm looking at it, then I want to trigger that. So how can we do that? Basically what we do is, in my character I have two things. So whenever I enable tool, I switch from my normal third-person camera into a close-up camera. So I have two cameras because I want to have it on from the first-person perspective, and I have my magnifying glass that I hide and show based on if you have that tool or not. So basically that's how it is done. But in the event graph, what I have is I check with a tick if I have equipped tool. So whenever I went into that first mode, I have equipped tool. Normally I don't have it, so I don't really trace animals if I don't have that enabled. So if I enable magnifying glass, then it is true, then, and that's the variable here that they have it, equip tool, and if it's valid, then I trace animal. So I have a function here on my character that will trace animal on tick. So basically it will start tracing. By the way, this tick, it doesn't have to run every frame. What you can do is you can go here, and if you search tick, you can see tick interval. So you can, if you don't have it, need to run it often every frame, you can specify how often it will trigger. In my case, I don't want to trigger that often. I will value performance a little bit better, and I can easily run it every half a second. So we'll run it, check you have it equipped tool, don't do anything. If you have it, then start tracing. So let's go to trace animals here, and this is the function that I'm running on tick whenever I have my equipped tool enabled. So first thing first, what we need to do is we need to trace by something. So if I will go here and I will do trace by, you see there's a lot of different options we can pick. So we have box, we have capsule, we have line, multi-box, multi-capsule, multi-line, sphere, and then so basically 4 different shapes: line, capsule, box, and sphere. You can decide which one you want to use. Basically, that's a projection of that object in front of you to see if it's overlapping with another object. What I've done is I pick a capsule by channel. And I will tell you in a second why and how it is done. So basically, capsule trace by channel, that means I will project a capsule in front of me and I will try to check if that's hitting another object that I'm interested in. So first thing first, what we need to do is we need to tell from what point we start and what point we end. So if you go to the viewport here, I have my camera. This is basically component here. So this is a close-up camera. I've just added as a component. And if you go to that component, you see location, rotation, and scale is available for that component. So that means what I want to do is if I'm looking for an object, I can start from this point where the camera starts and project it in that direction. So this is what I've done in Trace Animal. Start is basically my close-up camera, which is basically this component here. I get world location and I put it in a start. So we are starting our direction from that point, from that camera. Where we want to end, basically we want to project it in front of it. So if we go to Trace Animal, the end, what we do is close up camera. We get the world rotation, so we need to know which rotation it has, which direction it is actually facing. Then we get the forward vector. That means from that rotation, we're just projecting in front of it. We want to see what is the arrow that is pointing from that rotation forward. And then this is basically, we multiply by some value. I have it in the variable here, and you can see here interact distance. So this is 500. Basically, that will project 500 units in front of it. So you get the rotation, you put a forward vector, you can decide how far it will go. In my case, this is 500. So basically, I multiply that vector by 500. That means it will go 500 in front of it, of the camera, and I add it to the location. So my vector is get the location, go forward vector by 500, and add it to the location, which is basically location of my camera, and that will be end. So what I've done is basically I go here, I started from here, I go forward vector from the rotation of that camera 500 units in front, and this is where I end. And basically in here what I do is I will create a capsule, and you can actually control how big the capsule is. So I have radius of 30 and half height is 20. So basically that's the shape of the capsule. So I will just project a capsule in front of me, 500 units in front of the camera in that direction, and it will be that big. So basically I'm trying to check if it's something hidden there. So let's have a draw debug type here for the duration, and I will show you how it looks like. So let's go back to the game.
Welcome, young traveler.
I need to
Take your time to
actually
explore
buy
this
that tool.
peaceful land.
I have a magnifying
Open
glass
your
now,
tools,
and let's
please
see
press
how
E
I project it here. So whenever I use that tool here, you see that red line seen here. Basically that's projecting from whatever I'm looking at. You see 500 units in front of me. So you see that capsule at the very end, there's a line and then the capsule. I will just close it now. Let's see how it looks like. So from the right hand side to the left hand side, there's a capsule up to capsule 500 units. So what I'm aiming is whatever I want to check if I'm hitting something. So if I will start seeing here on the floor, I'm trying to check 500 units in front of me there. If I will go here, you can see it's up there, but it's not really hitting anything. You see, I'm kind of scanning the road and it's not hitting the road. If I will do this here, depends on the distance, it might hit it or not, or it will overlap. But what happens if I will go actually to an animal? So I have an animal here, I have animal close because I hit that outer collision sphere, but what I'm doing is in the middle of that animal that I projected in here, I have that extra sphere. So if I will start watching in here, you see that I have that red, but if I will start pointing there, and I have that sound there, there is a pink one that I'm hitting. So basically I'm hitting the inner bounds of that animal. So you can see here there's a ping there, that means it was a hit. And why this is hitting this and not anything else? So if we go to animal here, I hit that collision box here with my trace. So my trace here was tracing by channel, but I have trace channel here on focus. So basically when we start our Unreal Engine project, we have two channels by default. So we have visibility and camera. I've created my own one. So basically what you can do is you can go to edit, project settings, and in here you have engine and you have collision. That interface here allows you to add extra channels. So you can create a new channel here, you can name it whatever you like, and you can say what is the default response for this. What I've done is I've created a new channel that I name this as a focus, and then I have it ignore. So everything will be ignored on that channel. So if I go back to my animal here, and that's my sphere collision, the inner one that I'm interested in. If I go to collisions here on the right hand side, I can say that it will ignore everything. So all the channels will be ignored, but this focus, this is new channel, the trace channel that I added there in my settings, it will block. So this is the only place in the world at the moment that's using that channel, and by default everything is ignored because that's what we set in the project settings. But this one will block. That means if I go here in my trace channel, I have that trace channel on focus, it will create a hit. So I'm only looking for that channel. I'm not looking for anything else. And that object needs to have that channel set up. And you can see here, this will generate the focus hit events or block events. And if I will hit my capsule and hit that whatever the object has that channel as a collision block, then it will trigger this. So you can see here I've done it this way. So this is the way that I can enable only. So if I go into graph, enable only that only if I have that equip tool, I do the trace animal. I do it only every half a second. And then if I do that, I projected the capsule in front of me and only listening for that trace channel. And that trace channel is not the entire object that I have it here. It's only a collision sphere that has that collision. So if I go to another collision sphere, see, its focus it will be ignored. So it will ignore the focus. It's not going to hit it. I don't care really about this. This is for different purpose. So I can decide which component in which actor will have that trace channel enabled. So basically that's how I've done it. Later on what I've done is I also check it if the hit actor is actually an animal. So I said does it have implement interface, and I need to have it in animal interface. I do have it here. So if I go to animal, if you go to class default, class settings here, you see I have implemented interface animal. So it kind of check it here. If it doesn't have it, then I do get animal data and so on. Is animal collected? I check it and add animal to collection to the game instance. So basically, this is the way to track it. You can be very specific when you look at it, when you start tracing, when you don't trace, and what are you looking for. And you can use the trace channel to look for very specific things. So normally if I start my game like this, I'm not gonna trace anything. So it's very optimal way, because I could run around and trace it for every tick, but I don't want to do that. I want to only enable the trace. Whatever I have that tool, whatever I start tracing like this, and then I trace it only. So you can see here I have that red lines here. If I stop this, it just stop tracing. So this is more optimized way to enable it and disable. And you can also decide it which object will hit each other or will try to interact with each other using the trace channel. I hope that helps you, and see you in the next one.